The truth is, though, you wanted to see her, wasn't it? It had been a dozen years since Swordfu School. He'd followed every rumor about her, every scrap of news. Not that he still loved her. After all, she was his enemy. No, it was solely because, know your enemy. All right, maybe he should stop pretending. He knew exactly how she felt about it. But their love affair always ended with a tragic death. Unless, maybe he could find a way to dodge tragedy. Surely he could, couldn't he?
Once, he found a Superman issue #1 in mint condition in a jar he'd broken. He planned to keep breaking things until he had the whole series.
Time, boys! Caught the lead race.
Ooh, a workbench. Did he have any jewels he hadn't tried out?
He had.
Now he could slice the wings off a fly in the air. Not that he would. It's sort of mean, really. Renata could feel the burn.
Okay, now we are back to where we were again. Before my game crashed.
This chest contained blank passports from 15 countries. And something useful. He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he? Had that door been opened before?
I don't know.
2 eyes good. 1 eye, dead.
Renato wasn't entirely sure how he was going to capture Zenobia. She'd be expecting him. And he didn't have Lapino to cook up a clever plan. Why was it again that he hadn't got the core? Maybe because the results tended to be disastrous. These streets were familiar. The Swordfu School was closed now, but he had been down that street 1,000 times. He knew that pub. He knew that alley. He knew the alley behind it much too well. No wonder Zenobia had chosen to invade this island herself.
That's for killing 25 of them enemies, magic people. The buffers, all the fire tubes. Whoa.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She vanished. And he suddenly noticed he couldn't move except his mouth. In fact, soon he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He told Zenobia everything. Sky River, the Iblistone, even where the secret rebel base was, until he was hoarse. It was some kind of truth spell. A talky truth spell. She called her father by Farspeaker Toad and filled His Majesty in.
But why didn't he get the core?
Croaked the Farspeaker in something like His Majesty's croak. Because I missed you, darling. Renato grinned. He doesn't even know why, frowned Zenobia.
That makes no sense. It's a trap,
Shouted the Emperor.
I'll meet you at the outpost, and I'll bring my interrogators.
If Renato came face to face with the Emperor, maybe he could assassinate him. But maybe it would be smarter and safer to turn Zenobia against her father.
What are you doing? Asked Zenobia. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you?
He asked her. She shook her head. He told her. His Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him an eater of souls, an immortal. But to seal his bargain with them, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. She was stunned. Furious. You're lying. Under a truth spell? It's a trick. You can't prove that. Take me to the observatory, and I will.
What kind of proof could you possibly have?
She said as they landed on the Nexus. You sacrificed a village. And he left witnesses?
The scientists resurrected one. Well, it's not really alive, but it can talk. A true witness. She frowned. The dead can't lie. Well, I bet they could. They just don't have any reason to. She nodded grimly. You go on ahead. I don't want the ravens to see me. Renato wondered what would happen if he jumped. Would he be rescued by an emergency platform? Renato checked for a false compartment. Nope. What was really fun was hooking yourself onto a moving ship.
The thing is, I think 'cause when I reframe them, I could just get help and stuff. But the thing is, I need to go through every single one, because I can't remember which one happened, so I have to do every single one every single time.
She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father wanted to invoke the Lost Gods? Would he tell you? No. Would you help him? No. I'd burn his books. Why'd he adopt a stray cat? You don't ask a thing like that. No. Not when there's no good answer, she said, her whiskers twitching.
Oh no. These are the one way destination.
The scientist at the observatory and a true witness to one of the Emperor's blasphemous rituals. The dead could be made to speak for a short while. Interestingly, they could not be made to lie. After all, what do they have to lose or gain by lying? How far exactly did these things travel? This chest had teaspoons stolen from every inn in Boreas. Oh, and something more useful. The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had burned the reanimated witness to cinders. Renato was stunned. There goes my proof. These were scientists, not rebels, Zenobia said, upset. Why would he do this? I don't know. Let's go to the fleet and ask him. Yes. I'll meet you on the mountains. There's something I have to get first. But could he afford to meet her in the mountains? He'd given the Empire the location of the secret rebel base. They would need rescuing. Why was he going to meet up with her? Wasn't it more important to rescue the Rebel Council from the almost certain Imperial attack? Why was he in this war anyway? Was it really to fight the good fight, or did he just want to see her again? One of these days, Renato thought, I should really figure out my motives before I pounce. Nah. Was it true? Was he on this adventure just to see Zenobia again? The Imperial heir was not an easy cat to see. Well, she'd ignored all his Kwanzaa gifts. And on the other paw, trying to get a date by joining a war against your intended was, let's say, pretty optimistic. But on the back paw, thought Renato, yes, it sounded exactly like him. Good, I'm so glad we had this little chat, he told himself. He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again? lot of dead ravens along the side of the road. Someone had rampaged through here on a killing spree. What had Zenobia gone to get? He had a chilling feeling it was the Iblis. Zenobia was level-headed. A stone could make anyone bloodthirsty. You could tell their style from the blade work on the dead bird. This could be the new aerobics craze. Am I right? Through another universe. If so, could the lost gods use one of them to return from exile? Oh, the thought made him shiver. There was a sign. Take the goat across first. When I build my castle, thought Renato, all my gates are going to open with buttons, and all the levers will drop rocks at your head. Renato wondered what he should do when he found Zenobia. What could he do if she had the Iblis stone? He reached the summit, expecting no one. But there she was, steaming, pacing.
I'm gonna kill him, she said. I'm gonna kill all his ravens, and then him, and then his family, and all the eggs and tadpoles. And then I'm gonna burn down their pond.
Did you go and get the Iblis stone?
You see, all these ravens I killed. So much power.
Yeah. Great, Renato said.
You really want power from a demonic rock? You want the stone, don't you?
Not really.
Good. I'd rather not have to kill you.
He told her he loved her, that he wouldn't let the Iblastone take her, even if he had to die for it. Well, he planned to tell her. Now didn't seem like the right time. She'd probably cool off in a bit. So he let her get in her ship and fly off. He rushed back to the Farfarer and followed her, keeping a healthy distance. Zenobia's ship was just visible through the clouds ahead. How could he reason with her? The rebels were down for the count. No wonder. He'd betrayed the location of their base and then he'd abandoned them. And if she became Empress while she was in the grip of the Iblastone, if she became Empress by murdering her father, she could still be a great Empress. But she could also be a nightmare Empress. She had to be stopped.
Okay, be right back, guys. Just put him into the toilet.
There were more dead ravens along his path, some of them wounded in the back. He knew she could have easily talked her way past them, or clouded the little tiny raven brains with a spell. She was going out of her way to kill everything in her path. This wasn't Zenobia, not as he knew her.
Hey guys, girls, I'm back.
Or I could go that way, he thought.
Damn.
Was possessed by the spirit of a demon. That's what it meant to be a hero. To brave the darkness in your loved one's soul. To have faith there was still good in her. To help her out of that darkness, no matter what the cost. But what? What could he do? She'd kill him if he tried to take the Iblastone from her.
Okay, well. Ah, down.
Take a leap of faith, said the inscription.
Oh. Hey, if you can hear me, you're watching me right now. How is you doing?
At the end of the trail of raven corpses was Zenobia. Her father was frantically rigging a strange apparatus wrapped around a glowing core. "Don't do it!" he shouted. "You'll hate yourself in the morning! Stay back!" She screamed in a horrible voice he'd never heard before. It froze him in his tracks. The Emperor stared at him. "Run!" he told the toad. "Or hop!" But he didn't manage to voice it, only think it. Zenobia stabbed her blade forward, and His Majesty fell dead. She began laughing hysterically. Or was she weeping? "Just walk away," she laughed at him. "I've no more use for you." There was something he needed to do, but he couldn't figure out what it was. So he did as he was told. As he walked away, he felt a chill in the world. The light in the sky seemed to dim. He didn't dare turn. He had a nagging feeling there was something he should have done just then. Something heroic. But he could not have taken the Iblis stone from her by force. And she would not have parted with it willingly. A cold wind blew from where she had been. But he still didn't dare turn. And then, an awful laughter filled the air. And all the ships went out. And he realized what he should have done. But by then, it was too late to do anything. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up. Like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
New story complete. Your story 8. The missing ingredient. What kind of hero are you? A hero who believes there is always a good left in a corrupted friend.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before, and he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose.
The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renata knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact.
Trying to do the Iblis Stone
again. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Lapino was no game changer, but could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens? The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it. And so, Renato went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Okay, let's go.
What was he doing here? Last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul.
I think it's cool how he knows what happened in his past lives. What he's done, like what we have done.
It's not personal, but your mother wears army boots. On her ears!
Already here, cawing in frustration, but he was still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. This was way better than being able to shrink down to the size of an ant. What was that all about, anyway?
Get over here. Come over here.
road less traveled. This could be fun. If it wasn't fatal, that is. Renato always wanted a flying carpet. This was more like a flying tabletop. But it would do. Not quite enough, thought Renato.
I know I need 100. You got enough? Listen to upgrade my last weapon. I just need the frickin' What the hell? Oh, there we go.
Damn! He thought. I'm the hero.
That's better.
Oh, someone needs a bath.
Oh shit. I was just stupid.
The Ravens, at least, could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
I don't know how many that is. If it's 50 or 90. I'll see when we get 3 more.
Renato hated cannon traps. Also, reloaded these things stones anyway? He never figured that part out. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager, thirsty.
Hello.
That
If you are wondering me
terribly wrong.
This point,
Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general
how
and a potent witch.
are you?
But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. What's the core? Said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Done these two. See, that was it. I haven't done, but that was it. So
The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance. The stone felt a bit clingy, and he had a feeling it did not have his best interests at heart. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power. He would go there. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone.
I was 50, someone in 60, damn.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Do. The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him.
With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm.
You're weak,
Whispered the stone.
the core will kill you.
Are you afraid of it?
No, don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it is unstable. If a poison so much as carry it, and if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically.
Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards.
Get over here.
As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical.
No, it's too much power. We will rip a hole in space and time.
He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out. When Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out, and "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he? As the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus, Renato watched sparks fly out of the core. The Iblis stone sucked them in hungrily. You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Renato. Well, the scientists would explain it all. This time, Renato was sure he'd figured out how to use the core safely. See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the odd-makers, and do what you knew was right, and have it turn out to be the right thing. No, he wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he?
more. Nice form.
Renato had never felt better in his life. Normally, a battle would wear him down and he would need a night's sleep. Now he felt like he could go all night and all day. He felt like people were cheering him on, and he could practically hear their applause as he slew one raven after another. The Iblis Stone and the Sky Ripper Core. Two artifacts from the time of legends. Renato was becoming a legendary hero, wasn't he? He had enough power to save the rebellion, but he had to understand his power, so he would not misuse it. These were no ordinary cannonballs. For one thing, ordinary cannonballs were black.
This is how we do it. Come on.
This thing really needed a roof.
Because the place isn't destroyed.
The toads at the observatory measured the stone with their occult devices. I fed it the core of Sky Ripper, explained Renato. No more feed pattern souls.
But the core is not an unlimited energy source,
said one toad. Another said,
there's a feedback loop, you see, which could overload the stone. The stone doesn't actually feed on souls,
claimed a third.
but on pain of killing another sentient being. If you can truly be at peace with yourself, it would not overload.
This was all very confusing. At peace. Yes, the mountains were peaceful and quiet, but he now had the power to turn the tides. He should report to the Rebellion Council and prepare for the decisive battle. The one thing he understood from all the Toad arguments, maybe the stone did not feed on blood or souls or rage. It fed on empathy. It fed on the pain he felt when he put an end to another being's existence. Even if that other being was a raven intent on killing him. If he could find peace, then he could use the power of the Iblis Stone without being taken over by its evil. Yes, that was the way to defeat the Iblis Stone. The mountains. He would go to the mountains. He could find peace there. Unfortunately, the mountains were not empty. There were ravens everywhere. No matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge, slash, and breathe. Yes, focus on the rhythm, the dance of it, not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Ah, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of
Because
eldritch
we
energy.
and every
He wasn't
single
feeding the
thing.
Iblis stone. Renata felt ready to take on new powers.
No, okay, so I don't need to do any more passageways. Cause I got all of the ways.
There was an inscription. No spitting.
Filthy habit.
Renata wondered what he could have made with all this ore and essence. Oh,
My last fucking sword. Oh, my swords are great.
The stone was still silent. His mind was his own, and his heart too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and breathe. It was all so simple, wasn't it? Something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near a Calaveras lived? The sage would help him figure it all out. Renata felt surprisingly unwounded.
Yes. No.
Everybody who wants to die, raise your weapon.
Why would you just give me like 7 in a row and not give me the last fucking 3? Help me. Assholes.
He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak. It was time for a little exploration.
See, I got all the treasures with them like side doors of witness. I just need normal chest. One normal chest.
The Iblis Stone, silenced by the Sky Ripper's core, had given Renato enough power to challenge the Imperial fleet. But what Renato was seeking was inner peace. The rebellion was on the verge of extinction, but it would have to wait. At the end of the mountain path, he found the wise Calaveras in his workshop. "Do fix souls or only artifacts?" he asked the sage.
Does your soul need fixing?
Asked the sage. "I've been killing a lot of ravens lately," he told the sage.
You're a fox,
said Calaveras.
and to kill birds is part of your nature. You should take joy in it. I mean, I might as well worry about eating flies. Would you like a fly?
It was true. That's what he had forgotten. The joy. Now he was ready for the final battle. The Farfarer cut through the clouds. The air had never felt so sweet since he was a child. There it was. The dreaded Imperial fleet. He could smell wet hemp ropes ahead. Wood and tar and ravens. Even the fleet smelt good somehow. He was ready. He was ready. Renato had it all squared away in his head.
He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret. But the victims had spoken to Reynardo. The ghosts had spoken. No. No anger. Reynardo could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger, but it clouded his mind.
Let's go.
He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Reynardo would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor, without sorrow, without pain. The portal was heavily guarded. It must go someplace they really didn't want it to go.
Oh, crap.
Imagine getting a horse up in one of these things. He would be cursing a blue streak.
Oh. Ice for the win.
But the more he thought about it, and he had so much more time to think about it now that he was not worrying about the battle, killing the Emperor would not change anything. Another would take his place. Perhaps Zenobia. Perhaps the Speaker of the Rebel Council, and power would corrupt them too, and death would make grief. Grief would lead to hatred. He must lead by example. Reject the violence. Reject the desire to create violence. But how? Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
What's this?
Finally, he came to the Emperor's ship. The path behind him was strewn with dead ravens. The path to enlightenment. His mistake, he realized, was trying to change the world. The world would spin and the wheel would revolve whether he strove against it or not. What he had to do was nothing. He had attained enlightenment. He sat down, adopted a full lotus position, and began to meditate. And all around him, the warriors stopped fighting too. They knew. They could feel his enlightenment. They gave up fighting, dropped their weapons, and became his disciples. No, just kidding. The nearest raven stabbed him with a sword and then chopped off his head. I might not have thought this through properly. Thought Renado's head as it rolled around the deck and died. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up. Like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. And he hadn't learned anything new this time.
Everything.
He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
Okay, let's go. I'm slowly filling this up.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before, and he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renata knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Lapino was no game changer, but could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
No, because we're doing the rabbit again.
Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own.
Oh, I can't
Lapino
skip
always wiggled
these.
out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. The Ravens had figured out that Lapino was a rebel spy.
I'm skipping these because, like, these first ones are already done. When they're new ones, I will watch them, but when the ones were already seen, I'm not gonna watch them. It'll save so much time.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the
And
Ravens?
so, we'll like these. And the trophy. Forge all souls and make them the best you can. Let's go. I don't need these anymore. I've fully cleared everything for the gems. What I have to do is to the campaign.
The ravens had taken the town. Renato had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals. Renato hoped the people were just hiding. Cool. Wish I could do that.
Oh, I should be good dash through anyways.
There was still no sign of Lupino. Not a hair, not a pellet. Was he hiding in the cemetery further down the road? That didn't seem like him. Renato felt a chill run down his back. Or possibly a flea. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lupino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming.
Because I've already seen this, I'm gonna skip it.
Capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He always had a soft spot for her. And, he felt sure, she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
I went for that one last time, so I'm going for this
To make
one.
the Sky Ripper, the transcendent Emperor had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Renato had already let that armature slip away to save Lupino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that. The core of the Sky Ripper? Lupino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy. He sure had. Renato told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd
Oh, have I
won and
done this one
lost,
already?
scrapes they'd barely got out of.
I really
It
don't
was good to
remember.
be back with his...
What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna complete this one, and I'm gonna go. Okay? Good. Good.
It's beautiful here, thought Renato. He was thrilled to be back with his old war buddy. He'd missed the mad rabbit. but something was not quite right. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Those flames really bring out your eyes. Renato felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds, if you didn't count the ravens. Renato smelled sick animals and dying ones. No healthy ones. And getting a bad feeling about this. Renato thought, maybe Lepina was right.
Cup.
Maybe he should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here.
Maybe cup. I don't even wash the cup. Like, how do you wash a teapot? The question is, you don't. You just grab some water and rinse out. You don't proper wash
as
it with soap and stuff because it makes funny taste. With a teapot, you just keep on using it, you rinse it out.
Worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it?
That's what I do with my cup.
He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Renato ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Renato ached to be rid of it. Tell you what, said Lepina. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost. The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret
plans. Oh yeah, because I went to the observatory last time.
It was a good target for a hero like Renato. But what if Lepino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself. Trust me, Renato, you won't regret this. I'll treat the core like it was my own baby daughter. As the Farfarer dived towards the Nexus, Lepino was jumping up and down with excitement. Stop rabbiting around, Renato said. Lepino just stared at him. The moment the ship landed, Lepino leapt off the ship.
I'm sorry. It's I'm British. I'm married. How guess where in England I am from?
As Lepino vanished into the wilds of the Nexus, Renato Lepino had a baby daughter, didn't he?
I will say
told
this.
Her mother he was going out to get some Easter eggs, and he'd never come back.
But Renato was relieved not to carry the core anymore.
Up to now, most things about me or
Maybe
not
this time
mentioned
Lupino
about
would get
myself
it right.
has
And
or
if
has
Renato
not
could
been
take the
a
outpost, he'd
100%
have
true.
access to all the Empire's communications in this
My
sector.
name is Gage, because I want to send on this. But if you can guess where
This was
in
much easier than free climbing.
England I am from. Actually, one question will answer 100% true.
Renato caught his breath. His joints still hurt, but he couldn't feel the poison in his system anymore. He'd let the armature slip out of his hands to save his friend Lupino. Of course he had to let Lupino take the core. The rebellion needed every man doing his duty. And the rabbit would be no good taking on an Imperial outpost, right? Renato took the outpost with a song in his heart. Soon, he was stuffing his sack with key messages from and to the fleet. Then the far speaker toad chortled a new message. The observatory had been sacked by ravens. Lupino and all the scientists had been taken to the mountains. Why? Why had he trusted Lupino again? And now the Empire had the core. Renato hailed the rebel base to warn them. But their far speaker didn't crouch back. Was the base under attack too? Who knew what was going on at the base? But he knew what the ravens would do to Lupino if Renato didn't rescue him fast. What are old friends for, if not to need rescuing every few days?
The day going down.
Renato felt a twinge of doubt. Should he have gone to the base? No. Logically, wherever they'd taken Lupino was probably where they took the core, right? Oh, why couldn't Lupino have just, for once, not got himself captured? Was that too much to ask? He shouldn't be too hard on the rabbit. No, he meant well. And he was insanely brave. You have to admire that. Harry danced around the room yelling, "Oh yeah, that's how we do it." It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses.
This is how we do it.
This was definitely better than pulling yourself up in a bucket. Where were they holding Lupino anyway? There was no sign of him or the ravens who'd captured him. Just rocks and snow and the usual scouts. No sign of the core either. Was this a wild rabbit chase? Oh, trust Latino to screw up even getting captured. But what was this rebellion for anyway? Well, Latino was a useless goof. But he was a friend. If friends didn't matter anymore, what was the point of winning this war?
Friends always matters.
Any better dead, Renata thought. The rebellion would soon be engaging the Imperial fleet in a desperate battle. All Reynardo had done was save a friend. It didn't feel as good as he'd hoped. At the end of the mountain path, Reynardo came to a clearing. There was a campfire, raven feathers, and... oh... Lupino's lucky deck of cards. Well, that wasn't good. Reynardo hoped Lupino would not try to cheat his captors at cards. Ravens were much better than weasels at counting, and they had a very poor sense of humor. Then, he saw what he had hoped never to see. Fresh scraps of rabbit fur. Ragged and bloody, ravens would eat anything.
By Grabthar's hammer!
Reynardo screamed at the sky.
I will avenge you!
The rebels had assembled their fleet. Ahead, the clouds were dark with Imperial ships. If he could reach the Emperor before the rest of the rebels did, maybe he could settle this without too much bloodshed. He set sail, and the Farfarer shot forward. Poor Lupino had never been a great warrior. The mad rabbit was good for a lark and a laugh. And a pint. The thought of ravens eating him made Reynardo furious. The way they were eating up the land. The way the Emperor was eating up the people with his new, bloodthirsty ways. He would make them all pay. That led right into the middle of the fleet. It was a glaring weakness in the defense.
지금 hopefully I don't get
Reynardo wondered if it wasn't cheaper to build bridges and stairs.
I hope I don't get like water essence and like fire essence, moons essence. If I'm completing levels now, I just need level ups.
objective to save his friend. He'd given up the armature, the core, the gem, and even Zenobia. He loved Lupino, he realized. And now the rabbit was gone. A hero looks out for his friends, even when they're gone. He would send Lupino an honor guard of ravens to serve him in the halls of the Valiant. He would avenge him.
Do I ever get a happy ending?
Hey, I hear black is the new day.
It's like I beat the fucking core, but I just ended up getting a headshot. My rabbit friend got fucking eaten. Do I ever get a fucking happy ending where I don't die? I want that. I want to find that one. There has to be one ending where I don't fucking die.
Finally, he reached the Emperor's ship. And there was Lupino, surrounded by ravens.
The rabbit was murdered. Discovered Lampo's little secret.
He was alive! They'd eaten some other rabbit. I'll save you! He shouted with joy and flung himself at the ravens. Oh, you shouldn't have, said Lupino when the last raven was down. Renato threw his arms around his best friend. I had to come. I love you, man. You really, really shouldn't have, said Lupino. And Renato felt a rather sharp pain in his back. As he collapsed, Lupino took the dagger out of Renato's back and wiped it off on Renato's sleeve.
Oh, what the fuck?
Why? You always have to be the hero. Brave Renato, epic Renato, super sexy Renato. Now I'm sick of it. But I loved you. And you thought I was the idiot, said Lupino as Renato died. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up. Like those doors he was opening.
What kind of hero are you?
Took him to new
A hero who places
his
friendship
enemies.
above all
But
else.
he learned another true thing. Lupino was a traitor. Renato had suspected there was something wrong with the mad rabbit. But now he knew there was malice behind his goofiness.
Oh, my friend's a traitor. Well, I'll be doing some of these next time. I'll be leaving you guys. Have a nice day. I'll be broadcasting probably next in a little bit. I'm just gonna grab something to eat, grab some pills. I'll be doing the gungeon. So